Anthropic just announced a new model, limited access, enterprise only, and the moment they did, someone had to ask the question nobody wants to answer. What if this proves we've hit a hard ceiling on what AI can actually do? This matters because the entire logic chain collapses if it does. SpaceX builds orbital compute. Elon needs infinite AI demand to justify the infrastructure spend. But what if demand isn't infinite? What if it's determined by actual capability walls, not investor appetite? Before we get into this, Bitcoin's at 61,444, down 2.21% in 24 hours. Fear and greed index is at 9 out of 100. Extreme fear. Markets are pricing in uncertainty. This AI demand question is part of that uncertainty. Let's break it down. Anthropic controls who gets access to their new models. This isn't new, but the degree of control is worth examining. When a company gatekeeps a product that hard, it's usually one of two things. Either it's so dangerous they're managing rollout responsibly, or it's so incremental they're managing narrative carefully. Maybe both. The uncomfortable part is this. If Anthropic's new model shows marginal improvement over Claude 3.5 Sonnet on real-world tasks, it's a signal. The signal is that we're approaching a capability plateau, not a wall, necessarily, a plateau. And if we're on a plateau, the compute scaling hypothesis starts to break. Here's the logic. If you believe in exponential AI progress, you need exponential improvement per generation. If each new model is 20% better at reasoning, 15% better at coding, 10% better at physics, fine. Keep scaling. Build orbital compute farms. Justify $1 trillion spend on infrastructure. But if the next model is 3% better at those tasks, and the one after that is also 3% better, and the one after that is 2%, that's not exponential. That's asymptotic. It's diminishing returns. And diminishing returns means you have a demand ceiling. You build to that ceiling, you stop. SpaceX's long-term financial thesis depends on no ceiling. Joe Bhakti flagged this exact scenario. The specifics matter less than the principle. Limited access releases are often used to telegraph capability results before the market prices them in. If Anthropic's data shows strong gains, they'll expand access fast. If the gains are modest, control makes sense. They're managing expectations. The S&P 500 is down 0.26% today. Tech stocks are priced for infinite AI upside. That pricing evaporates if the capability frontier slows. And capability slowdown doesn't mean AI stops being useful. It means the TAM is defined. It means the problem set has a boundary. For crypto, this matters because institutional capital that's been flowing into AI infrastructure gets redirected. It doesn't disappear, but it moves. Elon's compute spend is partially synthetic demand, capital that exists because investors believe in the exponential thesis. If that thesis hits a wall, capital allocation changes. Here's what I'm watching for. When Anthropic's model is finally public, do third-party benchmarks show the leap that justifies the hype? Or do they show solid engineering and incremental progress? Both outcomes are fine, but one funds SpaceX's orbital infrastructure dreams, and one doesn't. The reason this gets framed as dangerous or safety-controlled is because it lets Anthropic control the narrative around capability either way. If it's a leap, they announce a leap and the market reprices. If it's incremental, they positioned it as carefully managed capability release, not, we tried to scale and hit diminishing returns. Bitcoin's dominance is at 56%. Fear and greed is extreme fear at 9 out of 100. That's a symptom of real uncertainty about where growth actually comes from next. The compute scaling thesis was supposed to be that anchor. If it frays, we're looking at a different narrative for 2026 and beyond. The bet here isn't on whether AI improves. It will. The bet is on whether AI improvement scales linearly with compute or if it's bumping into something harder. Better algorithms, better data, actual human-level reasoning on novel problems. One keeps you building bigger. The other caps your upside and forces you to get efficient. Anthropic's next release will give us real data, not marketing copy. Data. That data either confirms the scaling hypothesis or it introduces doubt, and doubt changes everything. And speaking of following hunches that pay off, a Michigan woman had an unexplained urge to buy a lottery ticket and won $2.2 million. Not metaphorically. She felt a pull, stopped at a gas station, bought a Millionaire for Life scratch card, and hit it. which either proves the universe rewards gut instinct or explains why people lose trillions to lotteries each year. Probably both. The Anthropic model launch is coming. When it lands, the question isn't whether it's good. The question is whether it's good enough to justify the infrastructure story. Drop a comment if you're thinking about this angle. Are you pricing capability ceilings into your AI exposure, or are you still running with the exponential thesis? Thanks for being here. Hit subscribe if you want this in your feed every morning. Later.